All right, let's jump into this. We're diving deep into 1984, a year that, well, kind of turned the sports world upside down.
It really did.
Our listener wants to explore the '84 drafts, how they impacted the NBA, NFL, and MLB.
And we've got a ton of great sources to work with.
Definitely. So get ready for some serious what-if moments, some legacies that, well, they still resonate today, and ripple effects that really change how we watch these games now.
What's wild about 84 is, it wasn't just about individual stars, having great careers. It was this perfect storm of talent coming together, and just reshaping these leagues. We're not just looking at draft picks, but rule changes, how these athletes were marketed, the global reach of pro sports. It all kind of stems from this one year.
It's amazing. Let's start with the NBA draft because, well, everyone says it's the greatest draft class ever. I mean, the names back it up. Jordan, Olajuwon, Barkley, Stockton.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's legendary. But instead of just listing off their accomplishments, let's, dig a little deeper. What made them so revolutionary?
Yeah, the why, right. That's the key here. Take Michael Jordan, right?
Sure.
Everyone knows the 6 championships, the scoring titles. But what's really fascinating is how his rookie season, his success right out of the gate, shifted the league's focus. Like, suddenly, it wasn't just about size and strength anymore. It became about athleticism, speed, this star power that Jordan had. He changed the game immediately.
I remember watching him in those early years. You could feel that energy shift.
Oh, yeah.
He brought this electrifying presence to the court.
Absolutely.
And everyone wanted to be like Mike, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's what they said.
Yeah, be like Mike. And his global impact, too, right? I mean, those Nike commercials.
Groundbreaking.
They were groundbreaking. We hadn't seen anything like that before. I mean, Jordan just transcended the sport, became a cultural icon. But while his legacy's undeniable, let's not forget about Hakeem Olajuwon.
Oh, the dream, right. His footwork was unbelievable. Defending against that dream shake. Oh, man. Must have been a nightmare.
It was.
What made that move so effective?
Yeah.
Was it pure skill? Or was there some mental aspect to it, too?
Oh, it was a masterpiece of deception.
Yeah.
Like, Olajuwon used all these fakes, these pivots, to completely disorient his opponents. It wasn't just physical, It was a mental game. Defenders never knew which way he was going, and by the time they reacted, it was too late. And you got to remember, this was a center.
Okay.
We're not talking about a guard, a position known for finesse. He really challenged the idea of what a dominant center could be.
Absolutely. And then you have Charles Barkley. Sir Charles,
Yeah.
bringing this raw power and intensity to the game. He wasn't just putting up numbers. He was a force of nature.
You're telling me Barkley's impact, it went beyond the stats. He was this vocal leader, a charismatic personality, and you always felt like he energized his teammates. But, his outspoken nature, as endearing as it was to some, it also made him controversial. Do you think that helped or hurt his legacy?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I mean, on one hand, he was a fan favorite because he'd speak his mind, added to the drama. But on the other hand, sometimes it rubbed people the wrong way. It kind of overshadowed his incredible talent. You know what I mean?
It's a complex legacy for sure. Now, amidst all this flash and power, we got to talk about John Stockton. I mean, this guy, he was the definition of precision, efficiency at point guard.
His assist record is unbelievable. Do you think his partnership with Malone, did that contribute to his success? Were they just a perfect fit? Or was there more to it?
They were a masterclass in teamwork, chemistry. I mean, they had this intuitive understanding of each other's game. And Stockton's passing, oh man. He put the ball exactly where Malone needed it. It was beautiful to watch. But it wasn't just talent, though, right? It was dedication, practice, a shared commitment to winning.
That's what makes their partnership so fascinating. It wasn't just individual brilliance. It was the power of collaboration. But let's talk about one of those what-if moments that just chills. Portland passing on Michael Jordan. Oof.
Just decision. Yeah.
Drafting Samboe instead.
It's a perfect example of how, prevailing trends, biases can just completely cloud judgment. In '84, centers, they were seen as the key to a championship.
What?
And Portland already had Clyde Drexler at guard.
Yeah. Looking back, it's easy to say they made the wrong choice. But, put yourself in their shoes. They needed a center.
Sure.
Bowie was a top prospect. Jordan was talented, but not the sure thing he'd become.
Exactly. It's a reminder that these draft decisions, they're made with imperfect information, and hindsight is always 20/20, But even with that blunder, the impact of this draft class, undeniable. It brought athleticism, star power, and made the NBA global.
And it was one of the first televised drafts, right?
Yep.
which played a huge role in the hype surrounding these players
Yeah, yeah.
and turning the draft itself into an event.
For sure. The televised draft added this whole new dimension, turned these rookies into instant celebrities, and it shaped how we view the draft even today. You know, it's interesting how the NBA is just taking off in '84, right?
Yeah.
But the NFL's facing this unique challenge.
Oh, yeah. This rival league pops up, the USFL. And it wasn't just some small thing,
Right.
they were signing serious talent, future Hall of Famers even.
Wow. So while the NBA is riding this wave of excitement, the NFL is fighting for survival.
Pretty much.
Did they make any big changes, like to counter the USFL?
They did, actually.
Oh.
The '84 NFL season saw a bunch of rule changes, some directly because of the USFL,
Okay.
others just to modernize the game.
Interesting.
Think jersey numbers, kickoff rules, even penalties for excessive celebration.
Wow, so they really had to adapt.
Yeah, it was a time of evolution for the league.
It's amazing how one league can shake things up like that.
It really is.
But even with this competition, the NFL draft still had some interesting players.
Oh, for sure.
What stood out to you about the guys who entered the league that year?
You had guys like Irving Fryar, a wide receiver, went to New England,
Okay.
had a really long career, played 17 seasons.
Wow.
Even made it to the Super Bowl in his second season.
Pretty impressive.
Definitely. Then there's Wilber Marshall, a linebacker.
Key part of that legendary '85 Bears defense.
Oh, yeah.
And he won another Super Bowl with Washington later on.
2 Super Bowls, not bad.
Not bad at all. You also had John Alt, an offensive lineman for the Chiefs.
Okay.
Known for his consistency and just being so durable, played 13 seasons.
Wow. The longevity of some of these guys is amazing.
It really is. And then there's Louis Lips, a wide receiver for Pittsburgh.
Okay.
He had an immediate impact, won Offensive Rookie of the Year.
That's a great start.
Yeah, and he's still a beloved figure in Steelers history.
Those are some impressive players. But what about the guys who went to the USFL?
Oh, yeah, right?
Didn't they sign some big names?
Absolutely think Steve Young, Reggie White.
Wow.
Guys who have become NFL legends.
Yeah, those are big names to lose.
The USFL lured them away with these huge contracts,
Hmm.
created this talent drain that the NFL had to deal with.
So what did they do?
Well, they actually had a special supplemental draft later on
Really?
to try and accommodate players who wanted to come back to the NFL.
So the USFL was a real threat,
No doubt about it.
and its impact is still felt today. It's amazing how these things have a ripple effect.
Do we really do?
But let's shift gears to Major League Baseball.
Okay.
You mentioned earlier that the '84 MLB draft is this story of triumph and disappointment.
Yeah.
What makes it so unique compared to the NBA and NFL drafts?
Well, the MLB draft, it's a different animal.
How so?
In baseball, player development takes time.
Right.
You've got the minor leagues, different levels of competition.
Yeah.
Players might not peak for a few years, you know? It's not always about raw talent or instant impact like in other sports.
Right. Baseball's a game of nuance and adjustment.
Exactly.
It's not just athleticism. It's understanding the game, the strategy, the mental side of things.
Absolutely.
So with that in mind, who were some of the standout players from the '84 MLB draft?
Well, you've got Mark McGwire, drafted by Oakland.
Okay.
Became one of the most feared home run hitters ever.
Yeah.
But his legacy, of course, is complex because of the steroid scandal.
Right.
Raises questions about that whole era, the pressure to perform the choices players made.
It's a complicated story for sure.
It really is.
But you also mentioned some hidden gems came out of that draft.
Oh, yeah.
Guys who weren't top picks but went on to have Hall of Fame careers.
That's right. Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine.
Wow.
Both future Hall of Famers, they were selected in the second round.
No way.
They defied the odds, proved that talent can come from anywhere in the draft.
That's amazing.
And sometimes the best players are the ones who fly under the radar.
It's incredible how 2 pitchers like that could slip to the second round.
It is.
It really speaks to how unpredictable the MLB draft can be.
You got it.
Now, we've covered a lot here, from the NBA's rise to the NFL's battle for survival and the MLB's hidden gems. What connects these stories?
I think what ties them together is that 1984 was this year of transition,
Okay.
a time when the old guard was being challenged and a new generation was making its mark. It forced these leagues to adapt, to innovate, to embrace new possibilities.
I like that.
The emergence of stars like Jordan, the USFL, challenged the rise of Maddux and Glavine. They all point to this shift in power, a changing of the guard.
So it wasn't just about individual players or teams. It was about a bigger cultural shift in sports.
Exactly.
What do you think were some of the lasting effects of this year?
Well, for one, the '84 drafts helped usher in the era of the global athlete.
Okay.
Players like Jordan, they transcended borders,
Yep.
became international icons, and paved the way for the globalization we see today.
That's a huge impact.
It really is. And the way athletes were marketed changed dramatically.
Oh, yeah.
Those Nike commercials with Jordan weren't just about selling shoes.
Right.
They were about creating a brand, a lifestyle, an aspirational image
It's true.
that resonated with fans worldwide.
And it worked.
Oh, yeah.
Big time.
The '84 drafts, in a way, marked the beginning of the modern sports marketing era.
Wow, that's fascinating.
And this new focus on marketing combined with cable TV led to this explosion in popularity for these leagues.
They became more than just games.
Absolutely. Suddenly, sports weren't just something you watched on weekends.
All right.
They were this 24/7 entertainment phenomenon.
It's amazing to think how much the landscape has changed since then.
Really is.
It all goes back to this one year.
Crazy, right?
But we're not done yet.
Oh.
There's one more layer to this deep dive.
All right.
One that takes us into the realm of what if.
Yeah.
We talked about the stars, right?
Yeah.
The challenges, the impact of these '84 drafts. But now let's get a little crazy. Let's go into those what if scenarios.
I like it.
Imagine if Portland drafts Jordan, or the USFL never even challenges the NFL. How different would things be today?
Those are the questions, right? The ones that keep you up at night.
Totally.
The possibilities are, man, they're just tantalizing.
If Portland takes Jordan, do the Bulls become the dynasty?
Right.
Does Jordan reach that same level of success? Different city, different team, who knows?
It's fascinating to think about how one decision changes everything. A player's career, a franchise's history, it's all connected.
And what about the USFL? If they had stuck around, what happens to salaries, free agency, the whole structure of pro football?
Man, the ripple effects are mind-boggling. Would the NFL have had to, completely change?
Right.
Would we have seen a merger? A constant battle for talent and fans? It's a world we can only imagine.
And don't forget about the MLB. What if Maddox and Glavine end up on different teams? Do they reach that same level of dominance?
It's hard to say.
Right. Without the Braves pitching, that whole system they had, would their careers even be the same?
It really shows you how unpredictable the draft can be.
For sure.
One little change, one decision, and bam, everything's different.
We think of sports history as this set story, but it's really a bunch of choices, chances, these little moments that could have gone so many ways.
Absolutely. And it makes you appreciate how we even got to the sports we have today. All these things had to line up just right.
It's wild. But these what ifs, they're not just about rewriting history, right?
No.
It's about understanding the forces at play, the decisions that were made, the people who shaped the game.
You got it. It's about recognizing that at the end of the day, sports are about human stories.
That's a great point.
It's the players, the coaches, the fans, those unpredictable moments that, they create legends. And they leave us wondering, what if?
That's true. That uncertainty, the possibility of the unexpected, that's what keeps us coming back season after season.
That keeps us hooked.
So there you have it, folks. A deep dive into the 1984 draft class. A year that gave us, well, iconic stars, decisions that changed everything, and a legacy that, well, it still shapes sports today. We looked at the triumphs, the heartbreaks, the impact, and hopefully we sparked some of your own what-if moments. Keep exploring, keep asking those questions, and keep diving deep.